Welcome to Startup Stories Unplugged, the podcast where we explore the journeys of visionary founders and the minds behind groundbreaking innovation. I'm 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, your host, and today I'm thrilled to introduce Vitalii Duk, the founder and CEO of Dynamiq, a cutting-edge AI platform that empowers businesses to build, deploy, and scale next-generation applications powered by large language models. Before founding Dynamiq, Vitalii held multiple leadership positions in machine learning and data science at several startups. In this podcast, we'll dive into Vitalii's journey, the inspiration behind Dynamiq, and how the platform is reshaping the future of enterprise-grade AI. Hello, everyone. Vitalii, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to introduce you to our audience.
Thank you. Thanks, Hanwoo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right, let's kickstart the podcast by some introduction. Can you tell us about you and what is Dynamiq?
So I'm Vitalii. First of all, I'm the founder and CEO at Dynamiq. And Dynamiq is an operating platform for agentic GenAI applications. So we do help engineers and data scientists to build their agentic applications in a matter of hours, simplifying their kind of day-to-day routine tasks and helping them prototype, test, deploy, monitor all their agents in kind of one place. Besides all the other features that we have, but in a nutshell, it's an operating platform that helps you do all the necessary things for agentic development in one place.
Awesome. I heard in a matter of hours. Could you clarify it a little bit more?
Yeah, so one of the core features that we have in Dynamiq is the low-code builder. So we've kind of pre-built a lot of usually used building blocks. So you can literally drag and drop, connect these building blocks together, which include like a basic LLM components, but also more sophisticated, more complex single agent and multi-agent components where you can define an agent quite easily. You can define a set of tools it has access to. You can define the role of this agent, enable, disable memory if you want, and basically save it and deploy it. So it simplifies a lot all the routine tasks that you might need in this case. And deployment is handled as well by the platform. So you literally can prototype in the low-code environment, then go ahead and deploy, get like a REST API endpoint. And we're also right now working on several new features that will provide you with like pre-built, pre-created web components that you can just copy paste and just integrate this agent into your existing application. And then you will have tracing out of the box available for these agents. So you will see every request that goes through, and you will have the ability as well to evaluate them in the same platform. So you can define your own metrics or use predefined metrics. You can create some ground truth data set, and that's kind of how we manage to save you a lot of time. And if you need to extend the functionality of the platform, it's low code, so you can always plug in just Python code and develop something that doesn't fit what we've provided so far in terms of building blocks.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you have like an all-in-one platform that is low code, but also support engineer who can plug in the code there. And then it's like an end-to-end solution from like development to the deployment stage as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the whole point of the platform. So it supports you from prototyping, testing, to deployment, and then maintenance and production.
Wow. What inspired you to start Dynamiq, and how do you identify that need to go from like, all-in-one platform that support engineer?
So I've spent past 11 years working as the data scientist and machine learning engineer in many companies. and always had this passion for like production ready solutions because I'm in the early days of my career, I started as the software engineer, then did my master's in data science, and then kind of transitioned to data science back in like 2014. And then I worked for a couple years at different companies where we've been building internal ML ops tools. So I was building these tools to help internal data science teams to kind of do their work efficiently. And that's how I gained a lot of like understanding like, what's needed in terms of more like classic machine learning, so regression modeling, classification modeling, and things like that. And then when kind of ChatGPT got released and LLMs started to become more and more useful, I realized that a lot of the things that we've been doing before, a lot of the models that we've been building are going to become obsolete because LLMs will replace them. So I used to say it a lot. Like before, we used to train sentiment analysis models. We used to train entity extraction models and all the other like very narrowly focused things. Now, foundational LLMs can handle a lot of things from OCR to all the other tasks, and as well as like complex conversations are just easy for them to kind of follow. So we've surpassed that quality threshold, and it means that all these older models are going to become obsolete and deprecated. And now we'll need new set of tools, different tools to help us build applications on top of foundational LLMs in production. That's kind of what inspired me, and by talking to some early adopters, early building partners, we've kind of identified what the solution should be, taking all the experience from the past, and decided to kind of build Dynamiq.
Now, back to 2014, what inspired you to pursue machine learning? I believe that at that time it was more like statistic than, machine learning application by 2014. So what is the inspiration?
Honestly, it was interesting because that was the time where when like machine learning started to pick up. It was already kind of past the time when Andrew Ng released his famous Stanford course on machine learning. It was like almost 2 years in, and I was doing I was about to do my master's, and I was looking for a topic and then couldn't find one. So one of the professors in the university, he said, "Hey, there's this idea, there's this topic on like unsupervised learning, like using basically a variety of ML algorithms to do unsupervised clustering of text and identify some outlying clusters." And for me, it was brand new thing. I never done this. It was very complex, but I was like, this is interesting. I don't have a better topic. This sounds like something challenging, and should try it. And that's how I started. And that was like even earlier. That was 2013 when I started my master's, and then kind of over the year, I've learned a lot. And then after that, when I kind of graduated, it was like it's time to find a job, and then it's like, yeah, probably I should pursue a job in data science. And it was still not very popular. Like a lot of things were just kind of theoretical, but even back in 2014, there was already good demand for that, and that's how my career started, basically.
That's amazing. So what does a typical day look like for you as a founder at Dynamiq?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a lot of context switching, because as a founder, you cannot focus all day on one thing. You need to kind of put up fires, as people say here and there. So it's a mix. Obviously, big chunk of a day is still on sales or like talking to existing customers, potential customers, but then the rest of the days kind of working with the team, figuring out like the strategy. And these days, it's kind of like everything changes really fast. So new things come up, and you need to find ways how do you adopt some of the things that come up. Like the recent thing is MCP protocol. Obviously, it's been around. Like we've seen it when it was released back in November by Anthropic, but I think that time it didn't kind of gain that much popularity. So we're like keeping an eye on it, and now it seems like it's booming. So I've been working recently on some strategy on how to incorporate that into the platform as well. But yeah, so it's a lot of context switching. That's what I would say, like switching between different tasks.
So what are some biggest challenging of being a founder of a fast-growing startup?
That's a good question. There's quite a few challenges, but I guess what they say, it's lonely at the top in most cases, because as a founder, you don't really have that many people that you can kind of fully open up and talk about some of the challenges and issues that you're facing. So obviously you have employees that kind of look up to you, and you need to kind of show a strong face and things like that. But yeah, it's challenging in a way that you realize that all the hard decisions are on you. Like there's no one else to kind of delegate to all the hard things. The easy things can be delegated; it's not an issue. But like the hard decisions, it's always on you, and there's no escape. I always tell people that it was quite easy when I used to work in a company, because you have responsibilities, of course, and you're doing your job, but like it's still, you can clock off, like turn off your laptop in the evening, just go home, chill, relax. As a founder, like you're 24/7 thinking about company and what to do, how to do. There's no like a turn off button, at least for me. Maybe others can take it easily, but I understand that if there is someone to blame that something doesn't work the way it should, it's me, and that's kind of the most challenging thing.
If you could choose, would you choose to be a CEO founder again?
That's an interesting question. Now there's no escape. Now I understand that that's it. That's the path that I've chosen. But I recently watched one of these interviews of Jen Huang, and I would agree with what he said there. He was also asked like 30 years ago, if you were to again choose, would you do something differently? What would you do? And he said, I would just not do this. Like sometimes I feel that's maybe the thing. Like if I had to go back, it's challenging. I think, of course, there's a lot of excitement in this role, and a lot of things you can change. But like if you think from the philosophical standpoint and kind of think about like what makes you happy, there are other things that can make you happy and more relaxed. I think the hardest thing that you're kind of constantly stressed, especially I guess in this fast moving environment, because AI is moving so fast. A lot of things change. So I don't think our brains and physiologically we're kind of adapted to such a fast-paced environments. Like it's psychologically challenging to keep up with all of this. So I wouldn't romanticize the founder role, right? And for everyone who's kind of considering, I would say that yeah, this is not an easy thing. Like, because there's customers, there's investors, there's employees. You need to kind of balance out and manage all of that. The market is kind of moving so fast, a lot of competition, a lot of things are changing. So yeah, it's quite challenging thing. So if someone is willing to try it out, they should kind of see what's their ultimate goal, like what they want to achieve in this life, because there might be a different path.
I'm sure they like an extremely high reward in the end as well for all of your hard.
That's also true. I agree. That's kind of what we're all working towards, this, high reward, the impact you can make. But there's also I would say like a dark side that sometimes people don't consider or don't talk about this. And this was like a conversation between me and another founder and good friend, where he pointed out that you only see the great success stories out there. So it's like survivorship bias that you see. You don't see all the other people who also worked hard. They were building startups, building companies, but maybe they were not rewarded as much. So it's also something to keep in mind, because I definitely would agree there is this survivorship bias in this space. You look up to the great founders that made it and all these success stories, and you think, yeah, I just kind of do what they do, work hard, and things will happen. Well, the reality is it's not always the hard work. And I even wrote a LinkedIn post about it. Sometimes you can work hard, but still nothing happens. So it's a combination, I guess, of like luck and hard work and creativity, because not everything is in your control. Like, you cannot say that there's like a set of steps that you need to take to be successful. Sometimes it's undeterministic. So always good to keep in mind that as well.
Thank you so much for sharing the insight with me and with our audience. So let's switch the topic a little bit to non-tech. So what is the best way for someone to start with AI agents if they are not a developer?
So there's plenty of courses these days on AI agents. I guess I even stopped kind of tracking what gets published, but there's plenty of courses, including some on Coursera and other platforms, to kind of just familiarize yourself about concepts, because I guess a lot of people, they kind of have a bit distorted understanding of what agents are and what they're capable of. So important thing is to understand, what are the current limitations, how these agents work, what are the building blocks, like what are agents on their own, like what are tools, what's agentic memory, and all these concepts. And then start playing around with tools like Dynamiq. If you're non-technical, I guess Dynamiq can be quite beneficial for you to just understand how things work and the mechanics beyond like theoretical knowledge, and then kind of potentially move to more complex use cases.
Cool. So how do you view AI in the future work, especially for non-technical users? Will they be replaced by AI agents?
That's like the most common question these days. I guess a lot of folks are quite scared. What I would say, I've mentioned this before, but the AI will not replace humans, because we always find creative ways of doing something else when the automation comes in. But AI will kind of replace people who don't use AI. So basically, like another person with AI tool belt will replace you, not the AI itself, I guess. In some cases, yes, like some tedious, like automatic tasks that are quite repetitive will be replaced. If someone still compares two documents side by side, and that's their entire job, like review some applications or whatever it is, then yeah, this can be easily replaced. But if it's something a bit more sophisticated, then probably another person with that is proficient with AI tools will replace you. Because these days, I think the expectations are rising. Even when we talk about engineers, it's not that AI will completely replace engineers, it's that the expectation of the productivity of an engineer just went through the roof, because all these tools can make you way, way, way more efficient. And the expectation is that you should deliver your tasks much faster. So that's, I think, what's going to happen. But again, we don't know, because if AGI will be on the horizon and we're there, things might change. Who knows? It's more like a philosophical question, what the role of the human will be.
Yeah, I really like the statement. AI won't replace you, but people with AI will. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that I came up with it. I think a lot of folks agree on that. You need to start leveraging various AI tools in your work, and you need to be kind of open-minded as well about this. Because what I see, unfortunately, what's happening is that a bit more mature people who kind of been in the industry for, let's say, 10, 15 years, they're more skeptical, because we went through cycles, and maybe someone used similar-ish tools a couple of years ago and they were not so good. So they're like, yeah, I'm skeptical, I'm not going to use it. But things change. So someone who is a bit more open-minded, it just uses these tools on a daily basis, like Cursor or other, will be more productive. And then it's going to be noticeable, it's going to be visible that there's someone who's doing their work 2-3 times faster. So you can be at risk.
Yeah. You mentioned about, business leader that 10, 40, 50 years of experience hesitate to adopt AI. What is the one argument you would use to change their mind?
I mean, you can look at the real world examples where AI already proved that it's useful, it's bringing economic value. So we can look at public examples like Klarna, which is this European BNPL company. They replaced majority of their customer support with LLM-based chatbots, and they fired a lot of customer support folks. And it's working, it's already there. From my experience, I already noticed the same kind of trend with other customers that we work, where a lot of tedious processes have been automated, where like 2-3 years ago, you would say, it's not going to work. The quality threshold is too high. These algorithms are not that good. No, it's happened. Like the other day, I published something on OCR as well. So there's plenty of visual language models these days that are state of the art in terms of OCR. So that's something as well that can help you with like automating your back office routine tasks. So you need to be kind of open-minded. You need to look into what's your competition is doing, because I'm pretty sure your competitors might be faster than you. And typically business leaders in this sense, I think they're quite open. I think where the resistance come from is more like the middle layers, right? Like typically business leaders, they're very excited. They're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's implement this new thing. The resistance is more kind of in the middle layer of management or people who need to execute this. Because again, it's natural. Like some people might be afraid that like they become obsolete because this new kind of tool or this new AI will just be more efficient than they are. So but again, we're going through quite an interesting transformation right now.
Yeah, I think that is the hardest part to work with stakeholder is non-technical. For my role, I always emphasize that AI to help you to boost your efficiency, not to go after your job.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. And I think still it's early days. A lot of like business stakeholders have a bit distorted understanding of like what the AI is capable of right now, or like what is possible, what's not. Because we've seen such a dramatic increase in the quality of these models that suddenly a lot of people expect that we're already at AGI level, which is not, and that's something as well to kind of manage. Like you need to kind of educate yourself to understand. Yeah, we're still not at AGI level. It's maybe close. There's a lot of things you can already do, but not fully there.
Cool. So are you up for just a quick lightning round?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
What is the biggest AI buzzword that you are tired of hearing?
I think it's vibe coding. I don't
Okay.
know why, but like I just yeah, it's just funny.
Worst piece of advice, feedback you ever gotten?
Ooh, there was I don't know, probably there was a lot, but like I remember talking to someone who's high up at Google, and they were giving feedback on the branding of a previous company that I worked at, and they said the branding is not great because we use purple colors and we sell to enterprises, and enterprises don't buy purple. And that was a funny piece of feedback to use. But then I looked at the company called Vanta, which is this compliance software, and pretty successful. Maybe they're already at $1 billion, and their entire branding is purple, and they sell to enterprises and stuff like that. So, this is the piece of advice that I would never kind of expected to hear, but yeah.
Are you still using purple?
No, we don't actually. In Dynamiq, we don't. Maybe subconsciously somehow avoided that thing, but I don't think it's true, to be honest. I think these days, again, it's one of these examples where people probably kind of a bit old school in their mindset, because if you think about the decision making audience right now in enterprises, a lot of them are young professionals, someone who's not kind of 30 years or 40 years in the industry, someone who kind of Gen Z or whatever. So they're more open-minded. Their like decision-making process is different. So you shouldn't kind of be thinking these old school categories.
Cool. So what's the best piece of advice that you ever gotten?
That's also an interesting. There's a lot of good advice that people give you, right? But sometimes it comes at different times, so you don't always realize the value of that advice at that certain point. But then, if you reflect, you kind of like think about it. So, coming back to what we discussed, I remember when I was just starting. A lot of folks told me, yeah, like being a CEO is not that easy, and I was a bit skeptical. I was like, it's fine, but the I wouldn't say it was an advice, just like a warning, right, to be prepared. But yeah, in general, I feel that when you're a founder, there's a lot of advice that comes your way, and what you need to be very good at is the ability to triangulate and understand what's applicable to your situation, what's not. Like, you need to be able to reflect on this a lot and don't take everything seriously, maybe, because sometimes people just not in your shoes, they can't understand. But you need to be good at like analyzing and triangulating that advice and sifting through what's relevant, what's not. And that's probably the most crucial point here.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much for all of these insights. Let's close the podcast by some advice. What advice would you give someone who's starting their own AI-focused company today?
I think the main advice in general, not just for someone who's starting an AI company, in general, someone starting a startup, you need to focus a lot on the USP, like what's unique in your kind of offering, and the distribution, because technological moat is no longer the thing. A lot of things can be replicated quite easily. So you need to think, how would you sell it? How would people buy it? Like, what makes you different? Find customers even before you build something, potentially. I know it's hard, like everyone gives that advice, but like you need to be religiously thinking about this, because technological moat doesn't exist anymore with all the AI, and it's going to become worse because the AI models will improve, and then it's going to be much easier to develop code, even like sophisticated one. So you need to be thinking about what else. Like, probably I would say that building personal brand is quite important these days, because this is a long-lasting moat. If you have a great personal brand, then no matter what you do, people would potentially buy from you. So that's quite important, and that should be the focus, like not the technical side of things, not the application, the code, whatever. This is secondary, unless you're doing obviously some breakthrough research. But on average, when we talk about the general tech startup, technological moat is not there. So focus on brand.
Yeah. So as a founder of Dynamiq, a lot of AI changing recently, a lot of new application. How do we evaluate, like when to push to adopt, when to step back and evaluate?
There's no easy answer to this, right? It's all like case by case, depending on the company, the size of the company, kind of the complexity of decision making in particular companies, the use cases. I guess these days you need to be, again, open-minded and try and test tools. If you feel that it satisfies your needs and kind of covers your expectations, then it's okay to kind of adopt and go full speed with this particular solution. But there's no easy answer. Kind of, you need to understand it from your perspective. This is something that satisfies your needs, and then if it's going to be also useful in the long run, at least in the next year or so, right? Because the things are changing so fast. It's very hard to plan for like next 5 years horizon. I don't think it's possible, but at least on the kind of more operational level, on strategic level, probably, but like on the operational level, you need to probably plan for next year. And if something works for you, then you should go for it, because a lot of people and companies that I see, they just kind of struggle to make a decision. So instead of making a decision, just decide not to make a decision, which is also a decision in a sense, but they decide not to do anything, and that might be existential problem for them. Like, if they don't do anything, if they don't change, if they don't adapt new tools, someone else will. And We already see examples of like big companies on the market that might be disrupted by not by another big company that will challenge them, but by hundreds or thousands of smaller ones. So it's going to be more like a death by a thousand cuts, and that's something that a lot of folks should be kind of worried by.
Definitely a fast-moving pace there. What is a lesson that you learned in the hard way as a founder and that you would share with, aspiring entrepreneurs to kind of saving their time?
I would say the fact that you should be iterating fast and releasing even like subpar products as fast as you can and getting feedback of the customer. A lot of folks, including myself, sometimes very kind of conscious about what you push to production, and like it should be ideally working, but unfortunately these days you just can't afford to do that. You need to iterate fast and push things fast, and get the feedback, iterate, so that's kind of one of the, I guess, important lessons in startups, and that's what makes you different from incumbents in this space or enterprise players in this space. They cannot move that fast, and you should. Like if you're moving in the same pace as an enterprise, then you're gonna be dead because they will outlast you. They have more capital, they have more resources, but your moat is that kind of ability to move fast, and that's something that's sometimes hard to accept if you're like a bit of a like perfectionist in what you do, and you always want the ideal thing to be out. But unfortunately, you need to kind of strike a balance. I'm not saying that you should just release trash products, but you need to find the balance here, and that's the most important thing.
That's amazing advice. Just rolling whenever you're ready. Don't wait for the perfectness there.
There is this phrase that I really like, and it's struck me like a couple of years ago. It's from Salvador Dali, and he was saying, "Don't worry about perfection because you would never reach it." So I think that's something to remember.
Well, Vitaly, this is great. I'm sure that our audience has the most valuable lesson, advices from you today. Thank you so much for being here. And for our audience, I can't wait to show you Dynamiq next week in our tutorial. I'll show you how to use the platform. And you can get started. Either you are a professional in AI or you just start learning AI.
Great. Thanks, Hanwoo. Thanks for having me. It was a great chat.
Thank you.